again. It's a rich thing.
The next question is, I know you kind of talked about how you got to where you are now. What steps did you take to get to this point? So you started from internship, full-time at Ford. You went to here, and now you're at.
Right.
So how, like, tell everyone where you started from and what steps you took to move to the next level and to where you got.
All right. Steps. Well, first I'll start with some of it's luck. Okay. Like, just being straight up honest, like, you have to go, like, so luck and God, right? Having faith in, like, I've never claimed to be like the most spiritual person or anything like that.
Yeah.
But, there's always been those points in life where, like, you kind of have to sit down and pray and reflect, right? So there have been many a times I've had to do that. Okay. And then after that, it's him doing his work and luck. So kind of getting started, as a kid, like I said, always working with my dad, right? So working on our cars together, learning with him, working with him in his businesses, cutting grass. I started cutting grass when I was like 10.
Oh,
right.
shoot.
So, like, if I could sweep the sidewalk, that's what he was having me do, right? I didn't have a social life in middle school or high school. Like, every weekend I was in the city cutting grass with him. Right.
Wow.
So, like, loading the truck up, go do what we have to do, come home. By then I was too tired to do anything, right? You're spending all day working.
True.
So, and I got to work with my dad and my grandfather at that time, right? So it was like all three gens,
You got all that knowledge, all that wisdom.
Tons of knowledge and just wisdom and just learning and, working, making money and being able to, like, do the things that I wanted to do even as a kid. I had that work ethic instilled in me at a young age, right?
Yeah.
I did okay in high school. I had a lot of teachers tell me I could do better. I won't say I went to the best. I did not go to a prestigious high school. I went to a high school where if you were really smart, you could get by very quickly. You didn't have to put in a lot of effort.
Okay.
If you were really smart and put in effort, you were a valedictorian.
Sheesh.
Okay. Looking back and reflecting, I wish I would have put in more effort. I probably could have been one of those valedictorians or at least a candidate or something. But, I just graduated with the rest of my class and did my thing.
Yeah.
Which, worked for me. Continued working through high school, did sports, tennis, swimming. Those are the other type of things where, like, they give you those team building skills, right?
Yes, that's super important. Now.
Right? And what I do every single day is work on a team, with a team. Yeah. I'm never alone. I'm never, like, a lone soldier or on a deserted island.
You can't be.
No, you can't.
Especially working.
And especially working in engineering, right? Dude. So companies and firms that don't understand working as a team in engineering are the ones, in my opinion, that can and will struggle the most.
Yeah.
Graduated. I wanted to go to Florida Institute of Technology. I realized that it was not cheap. I really just wanted to move to Florida. My grandparents lived there at the time. My grandfather lived there at the time. So I would have got to spend a lot of time with him. Also would have just got to live in Florida and go surfing and do all the fun things I like to do.
No snow.
Right, no snow. God, I hate snow. But that didn't quite work out. So, went to Wayne State University. Great school. Been told by a number of folks that they don't envy me and would have preferred to have, they're happy they went to their school. As you know, our curriculum is not easy.
We went to the same university. And it's tough.
Right. There are courses that we take as undergrad that typically graduate students would take as an elective.
Yep.
Right. So it's not easy, right? And you're learning stuff that's difficult. You're also trying to juggle a work schedule at the same time, right? So that's the big thing with engineering is you need those co-ops, you need those internships, right? You need to build that resume while you're in school to assist you professionally when you graduate. So my big break was, knowing the car stuff, having a good community behind me, I was able, I had some friends that worked at Ford, they were, professionals already. I had a friend put in a really good word for me.
Yeah.
I applied to the internship super late, to be quite frank. And I got a call. I was actually in the middle of class. I think it was math class or something, calculus, algebra, I don't know. Actually, I think it was calculus. So I get a call in the middle of class, I answer it. Little interview. Actually, it turned out it was the recruiter for Wayne State, Benny Wong. Still know his name.
Wow. I talked to the same guy, actually.
Yeah, we in theory should have, because he recruited for the same school. So Benny called and we had a great conversation, and he's like, we'll see what we can do and we'll call you back in a few weeks or whatever. Didn't hear from him. So this is where the luck comes in. The person that they had chosen opted not to take the internship. She wanted to finish school that summer. And her idea was, I will work my internship, but at the same time, I want to take classes. Well, those classes were in the middle of the day. You can't get away from work in the middle of the day. So, she had to make a decision. She wanted to, it's either I want to graduate now or, take my internship and graduate a semester later.
Crazy.
So they called me and they rushed me through the process. Within a week, I think I started the last week that intern started, and I'll bet you it was maybe 1 or 2 weeks before then that I even had like a phone call and an offer. So rushed through the process. So did school, I had 5 interns at Ford Motor Company through the summers, tons of different projects, really fun, cool stuff, especially as a student.
Yeah. And this is before that new Mustang was released.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I graduated in fall of 2014. That was a 2015 model year. So I had a couple of co-ops. I had one at TRW Automotive that lasted very shortly. Me and my supervisor did not see eye to eye. So I decided to make my exit. But before doing that, because you never leave without an exit plan, I ensured I had another role set up somewhere else, which is when I started at American Axle.
Yes.
So I co-opted American Axle for 2 semesters. I skipped the summers to continue my summer internships at Ford, but I worked a winter and a fall, and the fall was the semester I graduated. Got a full-time offer at Ford, started full-time.
Damn, dude. That's...
So I had my full-time offer for Ford before I graduated, like months before I graduated, which made my last semester really difficult.
Yeah, that's a big brain move, man, to have a job already locked down before you even graduate.
Right. So you're like, do I really need to pass this test? I just need to maintain my grade point and I'll be all right.
And get that piece of paper.
But it's engineering, so you never know what's going to happen, and the curve is not always with you.
True.
So, did the best I could, managing work, managing personal life, all that good stuff. Went to work full time. That's, when my career really started. There was still lots of luck involved. I worked on 2 launches with Ford. That was very stressful, very long days.
Yeah.
Just not getting to see family, not getting to see friends, missing birthdays. When you do show up to a party, everyone goes, wait, is that Jared? He's here? So that was very interesting. And towards the end of it, I could see the stress getting to me in different ways.
Yeah.
In ways that I didn't like. It was ways that I was acting out on, right? So I wasn't holding it internally. I was starting to act out on it.
Oof.
And that's when I knew I needed to change something. So I didn't particularly start looking for a job, but I was looking. I wanted to wait at least until, the program I was on, I wanted to finish that launch.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I was going to finish that launch. I would have had 2 full launches under my belt, learned a lot, and really, launch is, in theory, enjoyable. When things are successful. When they go successfully, you do things right, it's very enjoyable. And you have to have a great team to allow you to do that. It just so happened that I had a recruiter contact me through LinkedIn. So remember that luck thing.
If you do not have a LinkedIn profile and you want to get a really good paying job,
get a
LinkedIn profile, please. It's worth your time.
Immediately. Make sure it's clean. Use it professionally. There's a lot of folks that don't. Recruiter contacted me, go for the interview. Like I said, knew nothing about the company. no intentions on taking the role, but kind of wanted to start practicing interviewing again, essentially. So I was in Chicago, and I knew I wanted to stay in Chicago. I did not want to go back to Michigan. I felt that Chicago may be like a land of opportunity. Well, come to find out, like, I don't want to make Chicago seem that bad, but there's a lot of selfish people in Chicago. Like, it's very difficult. At least for me, it was very difficult for me to like mend with folks and like build relationships. People were very closed off. So it was like you kind of had to know somebody that knew somebody, and then maybe they would introduce you, and then like hopefully you were cool.
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't have those relationships and those networks because I'd only been there for like 6 months.
True. That's tough to get like an actual circle of friends in a new place where they won't even talk to you.
Right. And it's easy to do when you have all the time.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I didn't have any time. Right. I was working 7 days a week, minimum of a 12-hour day. Right. So no time. I worked Christmas Day and New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, even like no time at all. Like just craziness. Right. I go to this interview and it actually wasn't bad. Company was completely trying to like 180 themselves, do something new, become innovative, become more efficient, really drive themselves to the top of their market, which was really cool and really inspiring. Even the manager that, ultimately hired me had only been there for a month,
Really? So the guy that brought you on
was
had
new.
only been there for a month?
Yeah.
Man, that is...
Right. So, he was totally new, and he was another person, that they had brought in to, innovate, change the company, make it more efficient, lean. There was a big emphasis on lean while I was there. For those that don't know what lean is, but like Lean Six Sigma, manufacturing, all that good stuff.
We know what that is.
Yeah.
We know what that is, but people that are not in the automotive industry don't know what that is.
Or just manufacturing in general.
It's pretty much just if you had like your own household, running your household as efficient as possible. So that's pretty much the meaning of it.
Not losing time, not losing money.
Yeah.
Operating at full capacity.
Yeah.
Just technically not possible. We won't get there. So, I go to the interview and the team was really nice.
Yeah.
I expected this interview to be like 30 minutes. I actually went with I took the morning off from work, and I went with the intention of like it being a half hour and me able to like drive back to work before like my first meeting started. That didn't happen. It took about 3 hours. I'm glad I took the entire morning off. So like I said, it was really inspiring. Went back to my apartment, changed, went to my regular job, and kept doing that thing. And they called the next day. Wanted to make an offer. I countered. Their offer was strong. Need a little bit more. It takes me a lot to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right. So like, although what I was doing at Ford was stressful and all these things were going on, it was comfortable. I knew how to do my job, and no one could do my job better than me, at least in my opinion.
That's what you call job security.
Right. There were things that I had locked in my head that nobody knew. Right. I knew when they need to be done, how they need to be done. I didn't tell anyone that. It's technically planned and out there laid out, but the intricate details of it, I knew. Right. So I know what to do, when to do it, all these things where I'm going to something that's completely new and I don't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to take a lot of this.
It takes a lot of money to break you out of your comfort zone. So ultimately, they came back with something that was strong enough. It put me on par to, the great thing at Ford is, we were able to make overtime. Right.
True.
So, that was wonderful. And most corporate roles, you're not making overtime at all. You get your straight salary for the year.
Your 40 hours a week.
Your 40 hours a week.
Even if you work more than 40, you're still getting paid 40.
Yeah. You're getting paid 40. You get your salary for the year, and you better be happy with it.
Yeah.
Ford, is one of those companies that is, in that sense, great to their employees that they pay them for their extra time.
Yeah.
Which I was very appreciative of. But at the end of the year, for all of the effort I put in, I could never break a barrier. There was always a number I had in my head that I could never break. I'd get to it. Like when I say I'd get to it, within hundreds of dollars to it, very close. You know, there were times where I was like thousands of dollars off of it, you know, just depending on how the year went. But, you know, I get very close, but I could never get there, right? And that's, like I said, working long days. They ultimately got there. So I said, well, I'd rather go work 40 hours a week, enjoy my life, enjoy a beautiful new city, and continue making the same money I'm making now. So sayonara.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you know, I left Ford Motor Company. I went to, it was Dexter Magnetics Technologies in Elk Grove Village, Chicago, or Elk Grove Village, Illinois, I should say. They're just outside of O'Hare. Did magnetics and assemblies for all sorts of different stuff. We basically didn't do anything in automotive, but we did, you know, defense, military, aerospace, medical, electronics, you know, pretty well any other thing that has magnets in it. You know, we were in that industry in some way, shape, or form. So I worked on really cool stuff and things that were like life-changing and innovative. You know, everything from a heart pump to things that, you know, help with separating blood and fluids so that, you know, it could be studied.
And that probably fulfilled your actual, like, that made you feel better that you could go to a place where you can actually help design something that actually help people out in the future.
So helping people, you know, and then helping the company become more efficient, more lean, you know, designing and building new processes that, you know, would significantly help them. They had zero automation. So that was kind of why I was brought in, was to help with automation. You know, having the mechanical, technical, machine background that I have, that was the whole idea. Within the 6 months there, you know, I started, was it 6 months? It was just about 6 months. Started the project, but, you know, I didn't get to see it to the end. You know, an automation project can take up to, you know, a year and a half to really just get completely settled.
You have to go through like phases of trying stuff out. And like, all right, this doesn't work.
Design, manufacturing, you know, actual implementation, debug, all that good stuff, you know. On a schedule, it's weeks, but in reality, you know, from an overall organizational point of view, it takes a lot of time to get 100% right. Or I won't say 100% right, but very close, right? So like 90% of the way there, right? You're always going to have optimizations and things that you can do later, but, you know, your first dart on the board needs to be pretty close. You know, you don't want to go and spend $1 million on something and it not do what it's supposed to do, right? Nobody's going to be happy at that. So I had no intentions on leaving Dexter. I actually thoroughly enjoyed working there. You know, like I said, my manager was really cool. He was trying to move me into doing a couple of other things while I was there. I was doing some supervision work. I was doing a lot of really like kind of different things, but I could see the path for movement. So
they were kind of giving you tasks that were kind of preparing you to move up to that next level at Dexter. Like preparing me to become like a supervisor either on the floor or even like kind of opening roles in the office where I could supervise in there and kind of super guys that had worked there for like 30 years, you know, like, which I'll be honest, felt really weird. But nevertheless, that's evolution, right? So right around just before July 4th, I believe. No, I take that back. Just before Memorial Day, I get a message on LinkedIn from an Alpha recruiter. Now, this is not the first time I had gotten a message from an Alpha recruiter. I've been messaged through LinkedIn twice before then. Both of those times that I responded and had phone interviews and whatnot were not successful, right? You know, obviously I was still at Ford. Obviously I went to this, right? So, you know, not successful at all for whatever reasons. So this one, you know, I tried to play my cards right. Talked to the recruiter. She was super cool. You know, then, you know, they sent my resume out to the hiring managers and, you know, got a call back, you know, talked to the hiring manager, also a really cool guy, and ultimately was, you know, told to come on site for an in-person interview. So I scheduled my 4th of July trip, which was my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, but, you know, I'd planned to propose to her there, so
Did all that, and then scheduled the interview for the Tuesday after my trip. Told my boss I was extending my trip. I told him that my girlfriend, fiance decided to surprise me and that we were extending the trip. We were doing something else in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I wouldn't be coming back on time. What I was really doing was flying back to Chicago, getting my hair cut, getting cleaned up, getting some new clothes, repacking my suitcase, getting back on a plane and flying to San Jose / the Silicon Valley, Cupertino area for an interview. Go to my interview. That was about the longest 6 hours of my life.
6 hours? They made you, did they make you wait for a portion of that time, or did they, I know they didn't interview you for 6 hours.
Yeah. So they're all half-hour long interviews, except for one. One was an hour, and that was actually the one with my current manager. That was a lunch interview though, so it takes a little longer because you need time to go get your lunch, blah, blah, blah. Go back to your room, continue your interview, and then actually does something really cool where he only interviews you for about 15 of the 30 minutes he should, and then from there it kind of becomes a little bit relaxing, chilled. So we actually went and walked around the park. I kind of got to see the park and like all the things in it, and like that's when I became inspired. Like just being inside the ring was like, holy crap.
For the people that don't know about the campus, it looks like a UFO. Like in the video, I'm showing it to you right now. Like the campus is absolutely insane. It's humongous. We actually drove by it today, and I couldn't believe the scale of the entire building. And they still need more buildings than that to house their employees during the workday, which is crazy to think that such a large corporation can't have all of their employees in that gigantic campus. They have to have additional buildings.
I think there's like 12,000 of us in that particular building on a daily basis. And, there's many other buildings around the Silicon Valley area that people are in. So went for the interview. I'll be honest, when I got done, I wanted nothing more than like a beer and a shot. I left the park. I went to the visitor center across the street. I was so exhausted. I bought an espresso just so I could like be awake. I called what was then now at the time my fiance and explained to her how the day went. But my second interview, I felt like I fumbled.
Really?
She asked a lot of questions that I did not know the answers to the point where I was giving a lot of, I don't know the details. I would have to get back to you on that later. And that's the thing. Always be honest.
Yeah.
Right? Never BS, right? Or try and sugarcoat something or like walk around the answer or, give an answer that just isn't right.
Yeah.
It's okay to say you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one thing I've figured out. I can say I don't know.
Trying to BS somebody is the fastest way to be kindly asked to leave.
Yep.
Just be honest. Like with everything, not even just job interviews, just in life. If you're more honest with people, you're going to weed out a lot of the people that shouldn't be in your life.
Trust, ethics, morals.
Yep.
Like those are, those are the big things in life that you don't just use at work.
Yeah, that's true.
You use that in life all the time. So from my second interview, throughout the entire day, I was thrown off. 100% thrown off. Didn't drink enough water. Didn't have enough coffee to stay awake. I was on a different time schedule at that point, being on, Pacific Coast instead of Chicago Central Time.
Yeah.
Like I said, some of the interviews I thought went great. Some of them where I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was walking out of the door on my way to leave. They told me to turn around. I had one more interview that was scheduled last minute. That was with my director, by the way.
Sheesh.
So it wasn't like, this will be easy. It was, like, this is your director.
Yeah, you got to. You that's the person you really have to impress.
Yeah. And he's a really cool guy, super down to earth, easygoing, but man, he's tough. He's
You don't get to be a director and be easygoing.
No.
You don't.
He's really cool to work with. I'll say that. But he is really tough.
Yeah.
Don't get on his bad side. Did that, and that actually went well. We had a lot in common. We came from similar region. We had a lot of stuff that we could talk about. We hardly really talked about like specifics of me and my career and things that I did. It's more of a personal conversation as well.
That's good. More companies should be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It wasn't uncomfortable at all. So, that was great. Flew back, and then, the waiting period started. So I was told 2 weeks, didn't hear anything. That's when I was like, well, I guess I didn't get that job. The third time was not the charm.
Yeah.
And then the third week, I get a phone call, and they say, "Hey, we are still discussing. Give us some more time, we'll get back with you." Okay. Week 5 rolls around, I get another phone call, and that phone call was more serious. You know, that's
like a good serious?
good serious, but still no decision. So, you know, there was some items that we discussed in that call that were like, okay, that leads me to believe that the next call could actually be a good outcome.
Yeah.
And at the time, my wife and I were planning our wedding. We got married super quick after engagement.
Yeah.
For one thing, why wait?
Sure.
And then secondly, you know, just, you know, stuff going on in our lives that, you know, even with the Apple role and moving, you know, I didn't want to bring my fiance with me to California. I wanted to bring my wife with me to California.
That title is very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even making her and her family feel comfortable in doing that, right? So, you know, that 6th week, they call. Good news, obviously, you know, got married a couple days later. That's when I told my family. That was really interesting as well. They had no idea. And then about 2 weeks later, we moved to California, and, you know, now we're living this wonderful life we are now. But like I said, it's all like trust in God and luck. There were many times when I was in school where I didn't think I was going to pass an exam or pass a class.
Got to keep the faith, man, because I'm looking at your place here, and I'm asking, like, who did you steal from, bro? Like,
you know, I wish I could tell you. I wish there was more in that Bank of America account, but I guess there will be one day later.